Yeah, so the third module, that is the shear and torsional design of pre-stressed concrete member. So before that, you need to understand how does a section behaves due to the shear force, okay, or the shear stress. So you have, depending upon the loading condition, shear force vary along the length of the pre-stressed concrete member. That is, based on the type of loading, based on the length of the member, based on the span of the member, etc. What happens? The shear force along the section varies. As a result, the shear stress also will vary. Hence, the shear stress over the cross section at different points of the length also vary according to the following formula for a uncracked member. You might have studied this in your theory of mechanics of solids. That is, for a rectangular section, if I am taking I can write the shear stress at any point. If I am taking a small element dx, then I can write the shear stress tau v represented by tau v is equal to the shear force at that section into the resistance. I am taking it as y bar, then a into y bar, that is a is the area of the section considered, and y bar is the distance of the point considered from, or the center of the area considered from the neutral axis of your section, divided by the moment of inertia of the section into width of the section. So this you might have studied in your strength of materials. If you are not studied, please go through that. That is, you will get the shear stress variation, and for a rectangular section, when you integrate this value, you will get the shear stress variation in this way. That is, your maximum shear stress, or the tau max will be at the midsection. That is, at your neutral axis you will have the maximum shear stress value. This is the shear stress distribution. You might know this shear stress distribution, and hope you remember this also. That is the bending stress distribution. You might know this. That is, at the top fiber you have Ft, and at the bottom fiber you have Fc. So based on this, sorry, this is Fc, this is Ft. Okay, that is your bending stress. So similar to this, you have studied your shear stress variation also. That is, the tau max is coming over here, and for a rectangular section, you have the tau max value as what is 1.5 tau average. So based on that, you have the equation for your shear stress at any section. That is equal to V into A. This S represents the first moment of area of the cross section about the neutral axis. That is, I can write this as A into y bar divided by I into B. I is the second moment of inertia, and B is the width of the section. In a pre-stressed concrete member, the shear stress is generally accompanied by a direct stress in axial direction. What is this direct stress in axial direction? That is, in a pre-stressed concrete member, you have shear stress due to this loading, as well as it is accompanied by a direct stress in axial direction. That is your pre-stressing force. You have the pre-stressing force or pre-stress in this, that is in the axial direction. Although generally discouraged, sometimes we will provide vertical pre-stressing also. That is, other than providing axial pre-stressing, that is, we have the axial pre-stressing like this. You have the axial pre-stressing force like this. We may provide the vertical pre-stressing force also in the form of stirrups. We will provide these stirrups in such a way that it provides vertical reinforcing, vertical pre-stressing also, that you will come to know in the later classes. In such cases, it is possible to create a favorable no tension zone. I will tell you why this comes a no tension zone. That is, if you are providing this vertical pre-stressing, it is much easier to make a no tension zone, thereby eliminating the risk of diagonal tension crack. That is, we can ensure, if we are providing an extra vertical pre-stressing, we can ensure that there won't occur any tension at the bottom face. There will not be any tension which is occurring at the bottom face. So which means the section will be free from cracks, tension cracks. Thus, in general, there are three ways to improve the shear resistance of a pre-stressed concrete member. അതായത് ഒരു ഷിയറിന് വന്നു കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ അതിനെ റെസിസ്റ്റ് ചെയ്യാൻ we have three different methods or 3 ways to improve the shear taking capacity of a pre-stress member. The first one, by providing horizontal or axial pre-stressing. അതായത് നമ്മുടെ നോർമൽ പ്രീസ്ട്രെസ്സിങ് ഫോഴ്സോ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ആക്സിയൽ പ്രീസ്ട്രെസ്സിങ് ഫോഴ്സോ കൊടുത്തു കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ. രണ്ടാമത്, ബൈ ഇൻക്ലൈൻഡ് ഓർ സ്ലോപ്പിംഗ് കേബിൾസ്. ദാറ്റ് ഈസ് you have a general, either you can provide a straight pre-stressing, that is your axial or horizontal pre-stressing, or you can provide a pre-stressing force like this, that is an eccentric or parabolic pre-stressing force, inclined or parabolic pre-stressing force. Or the third one is you can provide a vertical or transverse pre-stressing force. So these three things you'll get more clear or will understand very much clearly, as well as by introducing a vertical pre-stressing, no tension zone is there. These 4 things, 1, 2, 3 and 4, you'll understand more once you solve a numerical. That will do it soon. So now comes your basics of your principal stress, principal plane concept. That is, I told you we are introducing an axial pre-stressing force, and that is in the form of compression, right? Isn't it? So in the x-axis there is a compressive stress acting Fx. Is it clear? That is a compressive force Fx. Now if there is any vertical, this is your horizontal pre-stressing force. Horizontal pre-stressing force. Now Fy is the vertical pre-stressing force, and that is optional. Vertical, and tau v represents the shear stress at that point, shear stress at that cross section. So what you can see here, is there any tensile stress here? There is no tensile stress acting, which means the F maximum and F minimum, if I am taking the compressive stress as positive, then F maximum and minimum, there might be the tensile stress will be very much lesser in this case, isn't it? Because the forces acting or the stresses acting on this element is completely compressive. That is, the axial direction is also compressive, and in the vertical direction also we are providing vertical pre-stressing force. If suppose we are providing that, then also it is compressive. So both the tension is causing is compressive. So the element is completely subjected to compressive force. So the F maximum or minimum, F maximum or minimum means there is maximum will be the compressive force and the minimum will be the bottom or the tensile stress. So we can obtain that by Fx plus Fy by 2 plus or minus 1 by 2 into root of Fx minus Fy square plus 4 tau v square. This is also the basic, this also is derived from the basic concept of principal stress. Okay, now we will consider an example to make your things clear. That is, you consider a beam like this. Consider a beam having cross sectional 300 mm and 120 mm width. It is having a dead load plus live load combination, a total dead load plus live load including the self weight as 5 kilonewton per meter. Okay, it is having a we will have a dead load plus live load combination as 5 kilonewton per meter. So from here, and the total length of the section is 10 meter. Total length of the section is 10 meter. So I have the area of cross section A is equal to total area of cross section 120 into 300. Then the moment of inertia is BDQ by 12, and the shear force at this support is WL by 2, that is 25 Newton. You got the shear force. So now you have the value for your shear force. So general case I have my beam like this, that is B, this is D. You have the shear stress variation in this way. That is, you will get this is your tau v max. For easiness we will assume this is your tau average. This is your tau average. We have the equation for tau v max as what? 1.5 tau average. We know how to determine tau average, right? Tau average is what? Is V by B into D. That is your 25 into 10 raised to 3 divided by 120 into 300. 120 into 300. You will get this value as 0.694 Newton per mm square, which means I will get tau max is equal to tau v is equal to 1.5 into 0.694. You will get this value as 1.05 Newton per mm square. So you will obtain the value for your tau max. Once you had obtained value for tau max, keep this beam in your mind. And we are going to see different cases based on this. That is, the first case, when a straight concentric tendon or no is given in this beam. That is, we are applying for the same beam. I am drawing the beam again here. For the same beam, the neutral axis is somewhere here like this. Neutral axis is somewhere here like this. I am applying a pre-stressing force of 180 kilonewton. I am applying a pre-stressing force of 180 kilonewton, as you can see here, without an eccentricity. So I can take E is equal to 0, which means now I can write what? My Fx is equal to what? I am applying a direct compressive force 180 kilonewton from either side, so that in the stress block diagram, if I am writing here, in the stress block diagram, there is an Fx, that is Fx is equal to 180 into 10 raised to 3 by the area. Area is what? Area is 300 into 120, that is 36 into 10 raised to 3. You will get 5 Newton per mm square. So this is 5 Newton per mm square. Now in the question it is not given any there isn't any vertical pre-stressing force, so I can say this vertical pre-stressing force Fy, this is Fx, this is Fy is equal to, I can take it as 0, and you had found out what is the corresponding shear stress at that section. That is, you will get the shear stress at that section as 1.05 Newton per mm square. That is, you can represent this diagram by this. You can represent this is there is a shear stress acting, that is value is 1.05 Newton per mm square. Now from this you could find out what is the maximum and minimum principal stress acting in this. That is, I can write F maximum is equal to, from here I can write F maximum or minimum is equal to Fx plus Fy by 2 plus or minus root 1 by 2 root of Fx minus Fy the whole square plus 4 tau v square. That is, substituting this, you will get the value for your Fx as 5 Newton, and Fy you have the value as what? 0. The Fy here, the vertical pre-stressing force is 0. So this value for Fy is what? It is 0. We are not, it is not given that there is any vertical pre-stressing force. There is only a straight tendon. So considering this, you will get the value for this as 2.5. That is 5 by 2 plus or minus. Substituting this value, you will get as 2.73, which means I'll get one force as 5.23 Newton per mm square plus 5.23 Newton per mm square, which is compressive, and other force, that is minus 0.23 Newton per mm square, which is tensile, or which is in tension. That is, due to this eccentric, there occurred a maximum or minimum principal stress, and the maximum value for the principal stress is 5.25, which is in compression or which is compressive in nature, and the minimum value I got it as 0.23, which is tensile, and this 0.23 will be within the permissible tensile carrying capacity of the concrete, which means it won't create any tension or tensile crack. Is it fine? Now that is the first case. Now we are going to see the next case, that is when the tendon is curved with an eccentricity of 100 mm at the center. That is, it is having an eccentricity of 100 mm at the center. So which means it will be a parabolic one like this. It will be a parabolic one. I'll draw it here. It will be a parabolic one. We have the neutral axis like this. We are applying a P force like this, that is your pre-stressing force, and this is 100 mm. It is given like this. So from the first case, the difference is there is a parabolic tendon and it is having a pre-stressing force like this. Now you can see here, you have studied the basics of the equation of this parabola. I can write it as 4ex by L square into L minus x. That is the theta, that is the inclination theta. I can write it as dy by dx is equal to theta is equal to 4 e by L square into L minus 2x. At x is equal to 0, you'll get the value for theta as 4 e by L. Hope you remember this. You'll get the value for theta as 4 e by L. That is the magnitude. This is in radians. Okay, this is in radians. You will get this value as 4 e by L. Substituting that value over here, you'll get the value for theta. Now this portion, this one, I can resolve this into two components, that is your horizontal force and a vertical force, isn't it? This 180 kilonewton is acting. This one actually I can resolve this into. Two components, isn't it? This is P cos theta and this is P sin theta. Isn't it? So that is the horizontal force. Now I can represent it by P cos theta, and the vertical one I can represent by P sin theta. And you got the value for theta is very, very small, that is 0.04 radians you got, which means I can take the value for sin theta as theta 0.04, or you can write theta in terms of degrees. If you get theta in degree, you'll get it as 0.04 into 180 by pi. You'll get this value as 2.29 degrees. You'll get this value as 2.29 degrees, which means the horizontal component P cos theta is very small, so you'll get it as P cos 2.29 degree. You'll nearly get it as 180 kilonewton itself, and P sin theta you'll get it as 180 into, either you can take it as 180 into 0.04 or you can take it as sin 2.29. That's up to you. I'll take it as 0.04. You will get this value as 7.2 kilonewton. 7.2 kilonewton. That is a vertical component of the pre-stressing force is also acting now. That is 7.2 kilonewton. Now you can represent this here. This vertical component of the force will actually reduce what? Your shear force at that section, isn't it? That is, your shear force is a an upward force, downward force acting due to this load which is acting. So the net upward force I can write now as what? The net upward force I can write it as net upward force is equal to, there is a 25 kilonewton force which is acting in the downward direction. Due to this pre-stress, there is a shear force due to loading, and that is 25 kilonewton acting in the downward direction, and that will be opposed will be reduced, or it can be reduced, will be this P sine theta will be an opposite force acting. So the net upward force I can write it as what? 25 minus 7.2, that you will get this value as 17.8 kilonewton. That is your net shear force. Shear force is reduced due to this eccentric or parabolic profile of your tendon. As a result, now I can write the tau maximum also changed. The tau maximum also changed, that is tau maximum is 1.5 tau average. That value will get it as 1.5 into, now the new net shear force acting is 17.8, that is 17.8 into 10 raised to 3 divided by 120 into 300, that is you will get this value as 0.74 Newton per mm square. You will get this value as 0.74 Newton per mm square. Now you will find the value for your maximum and minimum principal stress, F max and minimum. Now if I am finding, I will get this value as, here also there is no, it's not given, there is any vertical pre-stressing force is not given, so I can take Fy as 0, that is Fx plus Fy by 2 plus or minus 1 by 2 root of Fx minus Fy the whole square plus 4 tau v square. Here also it's not given there is any vertical pre-stressing force, so that I can take this value as 0. So substituting this value to 0, I'll get the value for my pre-stressing force as 5.12, that is this value I'll get it as 5.12 Newton per mm square compressive, and the other one you will get it as minus 0.12 Newton per mm square. Since minus, it is tension. So what did you understand from here? You can see here at the first case the tensile stress was what? 0.23 Newton per mm square when there wasn't any eccentricity and when the cable was straight. Now when I introduced a parabolic profile like this, or a inclined or a varying profile like this for the tendons, what happens? The compressive force remained almost same. It's also remained almost same, but the tensile stress, what happened? It reduced. That is due to this, just by changing the profile of the tendon, what happened? Providing some eccentricity, what happened? The net tensile stress reduced, which means it is good or bad? Is it good or bad? Net tensile stress reduced. Is it good or bad?
Good, right?
It's good, because the tensile stress, we need to reduce the maximum tensile stress coming on that, which means the tensile stress is reduced, which means the possibility of forming a crack is also what? Reduced. We need to keep it under, or we need to always keep it in compression. Okay, so now the third one, that is when an additional vertical cable impart a Fy, that is a vertical pre-stressing force of 2.5 Newton per mm square. So you have an additional vertical pre-stressing force of 2.5 Newton per mm square. Now what happens? That is, to this same I am applying an additional vertical pre-stressing force in the form of stirrups. I am applying the vertical pre-stressing force in the form of stirrups, such that there is an extra 2.5 Newton per mm square. So which means in my equation for Fx plus Fy, in this equation Fx plus Fy by 2, there is an additional Fy which is creating a compressive force of 2.5 Newton per mm square. So I can write here my F max or minimum is equal to Fx plus Fy by 2 plus or minus 1 by 2 root of Fx minus Fy the whole square plus 4 tau v square. In this case, what is happening? There is already Fy due to the pre-stressing force, Fx due to the pre-stressing force, the horizontal pre-stressing force, and now an additional Fy is developed due to the vertical pre-stressing force, which means I'll get this value for substituting this value for Fx as 180 divided by the area of pre-stressing, Fy as 2.5 Newton per mm square, and tau v you have obtained the value as 0.74 Newton per mm square. This is 0.74 Newton per mm square. 74 Newton per mm square. You will get F maximum as, you will get the value for F maximum as 5.2 Newton per mm square, that is compressive, and you will get the F minimum as 2.3 Newton per mm square, that is also compressive, which means by an addition of an external vertical pre-stressing force, I got the maximum and minimum principal stresses as what? As compressive, which means a chance of formation of a tensile crack is fully eliminated by introducing a vertical pre-stressing force. Now I will come to here. I'll just come to here. Now you may read this. That is, in a pre-stressed concrete member, the shear stress is generally accompanied by a direct shear stress in axial direction. Although generally discouraged, we are discouraging the formation use of vertical pre-stressing because it is highly uneconomical, or the anchoring methods are very much difficult. The anchoring points or providing anchorage for vertical pre-stressing, it's very difficult, so we are not encouraging that. But theoretically, if we are providing a vertical pre-stressing force, in such cases it may be possible to create a favorable no tension zone. Favorable no tension zone means what? Both the cases, the maximum and minimum pre-stressing principal stresses are what? Compressive, which means there is no tension, thereby eliminating the risk of diagonal tension crack. Have you understood this sentence now? Have you understood this sentence now?
Yes, sir.
Thus, in general, there are three ways to improve the shear resistance of a pre-stressed concrete member. That is, we can increase the shear resistance by either by providing a horizontal or axial pre-stressing, or inclined or sloping cables, or vertical or transverse pre-stressing. I hope you are clear with this. Is it okay?